On your mark. On your mark.
So here they come then, 400 metres or so into the race already. Like I said, we're here up at Barrowford, just outside Burnley. It's breaking 10. The UK's answer to breaking 2. We saw Nike put on a show. Adidas looking to do the same here with Emile Cairess, the British athlete. A little bit more on him to come, but as you can see, all 13 or so pacemakers in this one. They're going to drop out at various points along the way, 3K, 5K, 6K and 8K. And if any of them get to 10K, it'll be a huge bonus for Emile, who's in the back of the pack, tucked in behind all these men. You've got Andy Bouchard, who's up against him today as well. There we go, coming past the finish for the first time. It's 15.5 laps for these gentlemen, 1,034 meters per lap. So they've got 15 laps from this point to go, and the markers we're looking for per lap really is around about 256, 257 a lap. So it's just over a K. You do the maths. He's looking for around about 250 Ks is Emile Cairess out here today. And when we look at times, 46.02 is the 10-mile European and British record held by Richard Nerurkar. He did that at Twickenham Cabbage Patch 10-mile event. So if you know the course, you know it's not a particularly quick course. So perhaps he could have gone quicker in his time. It's not a distance which is run often 10 miles, but when we look at this event, it was picked very precisely for Emile Cairess build up into the London Marathon. Of course, that's 6 or so weeks away, and I think he's going to recover much better off the back of this than he is maybe a half marathon, really attacking a PB or a sub 60 clocking. So, but to put it into perspective, his half marathon time, his half marathon time, 1 hour and 32 seconds. He went through in about 46.08. So, you know, one would say he's more than capable of getting 46.02. And look, if he runs 250 Ks here today, he's going to be 45.30 is going to be the time he's going to end up with. So we'll see how he goes. So we're pretty much coming up for the first lap, and we'll look at the time on the clock and what we're going to get. So 2:55. Luke Allen, his agent, on the side of the track, calling out the splits. So just perhaps a little quick, was perfect for Emile, you would say, of the paces. The lead ones are through in 2:54, 2:55. Emile right on pace, and he's looking to hold that now for the next 14 or so laps of this. We've got Max Wharton, a little bit on the paces there. Max Wharton is going to lead the way. He's just coming off a strong national cross. In fact, we've got most of the top 15 who ran at the national cross. Richard Allen in there as well. Graham Rush, the 2 Leeds men, fresh off a nice national victory team title for them. Charlie Wheeler, 3rd at the British Champs indoors, over 3,000 metres, 7:51 he clocked. So he's in very good shape coming into this, and he does think he can get at least to 8, maybe 10K. And there is an incentive for these men to get further in this race as well. They are being paid £50 per kilometre, and then anything after 5K is going to be £100 per kilometre as well. So there's a big incentive for them, and there's a big incentive for Emile as well, with £5,000 up for grabs for that British and European record. But Andy Bouchard is in here, the New Balance man. Kadar Omar as well. Can they spoil the party? I think Bouchard is quietly confident. He's been out in Ethiopia training alongside Mo Farah, of course, and Bashir Abdi as well. He's been prepping well for this one. But as you can see, a lovely bank, a very tight-knit pack, and Emile Cairess is in the black hat and the kind of dark blue, would you say, and teal Adidas singlet as well. If you can look at the feet, he's wearing got the light blue or the greeny teal shoes on him. So if you can see those amongst this big pack of runners, that's Emile Cairess in there. He's just tucked in right on the inside. At the briefing earlier today, 2 o'clock, there was a briefing with all these pacemakers. And Emile, of course, turned up fashionably late, did the man of the hour, but a lot was said about giving him the racing line. So drift almost wide around the bench, just basically don't get in his way, or Bouchard or Kadar Omar's way out there. So, and you can see Bouchard, they're just kind of sitting in behind Omar and Emile, so biding their time. So everyone looking very, very comfortable. They're wearing on their feet the Adidas Pro 3s of the pacemakers, and I believe Emile is wearing the Adidas Takumi Sens. Those of you who are interested in your shoes, that's his shoe of choice. Surprising for a few, I think. There's a slightly lower stack height. So let's break it down then. Emile, age 25, personal bests over the half marathon, 60:32. It's well documented. He's looking to have a marathon debut in London in a few weeks' time. What will he run there? Well, I spoke to his agent, Luke, last night over dinner as well, and he did inform me that, you know, London is it's a target of Emile, but it's definitely not a career target. He's got longer years, I guess, of running in his legs, and he's looking to really have the good 3 or 4 years in the marathon to come. So he doesn't want to put all his eggs in one basket for one race in London in a few weeks' time. So, you know, don't expect, I know a lot of people are hyping him sort of 205, 20, you know, that sort of range, 206, but, you know, I think he's just looking for a steady performance in London and just building off of it over the next few years. And, you know, on that, he's had a very sensible career, his Emile Cairess. Everything he's done has just been geared towards the long-term approach, I guess. Every decision made has had a longevity in his career in mind. You know, to the point of the races he's done, the junior competitions he's perhaps missed, what he's prioritised over the past few years as well. The races he's done, obviously, you know, could have gone and won the National Cross last weekend, but, you know, with eyes on London and this event, he's very dialed in and focused, is Emile. So they all look very, very relaxed. Luke Duffy, the first of the pacemakers to drop out as well, and they were around about 5:50 after 2 laps, which is bang on. I said we're looking for 2:56 per lap, and so that would be 2:55. So you would say Emile is pretty much bang on that as well. So all looking very smooth, all going the right way at the moment. And Butchart as well, he's 31 now. He's looking to step up to the sort of 10,000 half marathon. I'm not sure if he believes he can be a true marathoner, whether he will step up to the 26.2, time will tell. But he certainly can contend over the 10K. We've seen him last year, 27:36 out in America last year. And, well, it's just 2 seconds slower than Emile's personal best. Emile ran in the 9 to 10,000s last May, 27:34. So those two pretty much neck and neck over the 10K. And I was trying to find a little bit of history on their head-to-heads. They actually haven't raced each other much at all. And I think it's sort of 1-for-1 between the two. So Emile being that bit younger, I guess. Butchart in the height of his career never got the chance to really race Emile. But Emile very much at his best now in the peak of his career. And now he's contesting a Butchart who is just moving up, as we say. But he does have incredible experience over the 5 and 10K. Huge success as well, the 13:06 man. He's definitely faster than Emile. Whether he's stronger at this moment of time in his career and in Emile's, well, time will tell, won't it? Max Wharton still leading the way. Graham Rush, and you can see they've almost gone in banks to 3. That was the order at the briefing today, to get round in sort of banks to 3 and just keep it easy. And Max Wharton might be dropping out soon. I think we're going to come up to 3K pretty much when we pass, well, 3K would be around about now actually, as we just approach the start. And like I said, just over a K. So Max Wharton just waiting people on. He's done his job, done his duty. Strong run from him coming off the back of the National Cross as well. So that's I believe that's going to be the 5K marker there. So Graham Rush leading the way now, so 48. So that was a particularly slightly quicker lap for these guys. Now Richard Allen, the Leeds City man, and Emile knows all these gentlemen quite well. I think that's what's quite nice for Emile, is these are training partners, these are friends of his coming out. And like I said, I know they've got an incentive, they are getting paid to do this, and it's an Adidas backed event, but you know, deep down they want to see Emile run well. They want to see Emile break that record as well. And like I said, he knows them very, very well. He spent time in Kenya with Abdi Sharif, who's literally running alongside him at the moment, almost just keeping him comfortable, I guess, keeping him very relaxed. But I must say, Emile looks itchy. He's just moving his way up, you know, through the paces almost. Hugo Milner just backing off a little bit. He may even finish this, Hugo Milner, because I know Kadar Omar's in there, but there is prize money. And I can't actually see Kadar Omar at the moment. He's dropped off pretty early days, seems to be running his own pace, and this is relentless, I must admit. So Hugo Milner, if he does finish, he'll be rewarded some prize money. It is £500 for third, it's £1,500 for the win, and £1,000 for second. So that is the prize money for these gentlemen out there. Luke Allen again, just cheering him on, telling him to keep it moving, don't let it drop. And perhaps it has dropped a little bit. We are seeing Emile look very relaxed. A few have dropped out as well, and it is just sort of thinning in that pacer group, and it just shows you the level Emile Cairess is at right now. The fact that he's got some of the best domestic 5,000 runners in the country helping him out, you know, 5, 10K, they were some of the best. And even they are struggling. I know 250 per Ks, it's pretty good going on the track, let alone kind of on a road loop And it is a cold evening here up in Barrowford. Emile's donning the hat, he's donning the t-shirt, and is that Butchart just starting to falter a little bit? He's just coming off the back. He's got paces in McCluskey and McMillan actually. Ben McMillan, brilliant 1500 metre man. Henry McCluskey just won the mile here. And so they look like they're going to just sort of settle back in and help Butchart. Abdi Sharif as well, just slotting into that second group. So Sharif is one of the ones who's supposed to be going 8K. So will he sort of move up and help Emile later in the race? But we've got down to 6 paces now. And Emile is just absolutely dialed in at the moment. He just looks very, very smooth. Rich Allen there. That's Sam Mokes. He was 8th at the English National last year, the Nottingham man. He's coming at it. Perhaps not the quickest 5,000 on paper, but showing strength and looking pretty good. We're coming up to 4K now for these gentlemen. We've got a good, small, tight-knit crowd out here today. They know what they're watching. They're educated. A lot of them, friends and family, came down of Emile to support him as well. Like I said, we had the mile races earlier today. They've all hung around to witness what could be history. So we'll get their 4K split. We'll see what it comes in at. Luke Allen will be calling it out. 11:44. There we go. That's around about right. The 5K, may I add, we are looking for a precise 14:10. That would be bang on 250. So we'll know more by the time they come around again. But it does look pretty quick. And looking by the fact that Butchart kind of drops off and having to run his own rhythm, he's got a lot of laps around this circuit. Abdi Sharif has pulled out. Like I said, he was one of the pacers who we were hoping to go quite the distance. He's not going to today, not his day. He's come off a stint out in Kenya at upper altitude as well, but so maybe just that's affecting him a little bit. But we've got a nice night sky. The floodlights are just turning on for these gentlemen as it's heating up here. As we approach that 5K marker, we'll know more. Omar Ahmed just slotting in behind Emile Cairess, but Jamie Crow and Charlie Wheeler looking very good. Perhaps we'll look to them later on in the race to kind of get to 6, 7, 8K and beyond for Emile. 8K, of course, would only be pretty much halfway. Just listen to that foot, them feet. Soak up the noise, the concentration of these gentlemen. You can really get almost up close and personal. Luke Allen, very impressed. He likes what he sees. He said to me last night, Emile in very good shape, came off a very, very good camp. And, you know, a word on Emile's training, Renato Canova, we know, coaches him. And even Emile admits himself, it's very random. It's not quite what you'd expect, but maybe not as random as we think, because the blocks are all broken into kind of almost 30 or 45 day training blocks. So although week to week it may be a little random, it's all done on the percentage he spends in different zones. You know, for example, your threshold zones, your tempo zones, and that's what it's all calculated on. How much time you spend in your kind of marathon race pace as well, 5K pace and slower. So, you know, it's random day to day, but it's very specific kind of month to month and how much he spends in each zone, each running zone out there. So Rich Allen to the 4 now, looking very, very strong, just pushing this on. Perhaps this is kind of his last effort before he pulls out. Butchart, may I add, is a good, you could just see him crowning that bend. So he's a good sort of, I would say, 10, 15 seconds back already. And we haven't even gone through 5K. So let's see what he can do, see if he can hang tough. We'll know more. If they're inside 14:10 at 5K, they're on for a very, very quick time, because that would be, well, 45:30 odds. And, you know, that's getting near the realms of Ian Stewart ran 45:13, which was an unofficial, actually. It wasn't counted as a European or a British record, because I think this course was slightly illegal. But, you know, he was a world cross-country champion back in his day. So that's the level Emile Cairess is at. And look, I did have a feeling Emile might be in some pretty good shape. So I thought it might be best to just note down 14 flat, 14.0. There we are, 14.02. I believe Luke Allen was just calling out on the side there. I just thought I'd double check. But like I was saying, I had a feeling Emile might run pretty quick today. So I had to write down the kind of all-time records, if you like, out there. I can say the world record was broken just before the turn of the year in December. Bernard Koech, 45.04. That was out in Croatia. But before that, Haile Gebrselassie held it for quite some time. 2005, he ran 44.24 out in the Netherlands in Tilburg, and that's the record. But the likes of Sami Wanjiru, 45.10, top 25 in the world would see 45.23. So if Emile runs inside 45.30, he's going to be in the top 25 in the world. And you think the depth of kind of East Africans, if you like, over the 10 mile and the half marathon is just outstanding. So for him to break into that is very, very good. All-time list over these longer distances. You'd have to look. I think there was only 2 Europeans, and it was Ian Stewart's time, which was in fact illegal, and a couple Spaniards in there. So, you know, if he does that, it'd be uncharted territory. But here we are then, Richard Allen, Charlie Wheeler, Jamie Crowe. They're being encouraged just to hang in there a couple more laps and help Emile Cairess out. He's all on his own, and look, we thought this might be a head-to-head. There's no chance of that today. Emile is looking so comfortable and relaxed. He's been right on the pacemakers most of the way. He's going to need the crowd support over the next few laps, that's for sure, because it might be a lonely ride. Richard Allen, he's done 5.5 laps for him. It's pretty much 6K, and all eyes on Jamie Crowe and Charlie Wheeler. What can these boys do? We look to them to help Emile to his record, but he does look comfortable. And there he is. We're going to get some great shots of him over the next few laps now. Look, let's talk a little bit more about this event now. There's just 2, Jamie and Emile. Let's go, Jamie. Hang in there, buddy. He's just going to help Emile out for as long as he can. A little bit of encouragement, just getting nice and personal with the athletes. As you can see, just listen to the breathing, to the footfall, almost a contrast. And this is a Scottish champion over the cross country. A terrific 5,000 runner as well as Jamie Crowe, and he's just sticking at it. Had a horrible injury last year, sacrum stress fracture, which had him out for 3, 4, 5 months even. And he's just getting a boost from the crowd. He's got round the bend, and I think he's going to get to that allotted 6K that he was told. So, and I know the pacemakers were quite worried about how far they could get. It's, you know, I know Emile's in great shape, but for them, March is a weird time of year. They've come off the back of perhaps the cross-country season. They may have had a little bit of downtime. And not only that, they're then kind of looking to build towards the track as well. So perhaps not in their very best shape for an event like this. But here we are then, Emile Cairess on his own. 6 laps, 9 or so to go. I'll say that quietly because I'm not sure he'll want to hear that. But this is literally running royalty out here. It's poetry in motion. Such an even stride. These are the quiet sections of the course. He's just going to want to lock in. We'll try and bring you some splits later in the race, but we must talk about this terrific event being put on today. I can see Butchart just crowning that bend, so he's sort of probably about 120 meters behind Emile Cairess at the moment, out of sight, but he's still working hard. He still came here for a good prep as well. But yes, the event being put on by Podium, and Adidas obviously sponsoring, Sports Shoes sponsoring it as well. And it was called Breaking 10. This man in front of us, Emile Cairess, he decided the date, he decided the venue, he decided the distance, and he decided the time we're even racing today. He looked at the wind and he said, look, 5:30, that's the time I want. I don't want any earlier, any later. And so that was the time set, and everyone accommodated it. It's quite chilly out here. It must be just under it's about 7-8 degrees up here, but there is not a breath of wind, I must say that. In this track, this cycle track here at Barrowford, it's home to some very fast times. I mean, Mark Scott holds the 5K record, 13:20 I believe he ran, 13:21, something like that. Alex Yee as well, that was post-COVID, but here we are. There we go, 6 and a bit laps done. And through the banner, we'll get a nice boost from that music as well each lap, that's for sure. He's going to rely on the floodlights. He's absolutely dialed in. He's come off a 6-week camp in Kenya. This is a European silver medalist over the cross country. It took Jakob Ingebrigtsen to beat this man, and only just Ingebrigtsen. He gave him a good run for his money, and he has just gradually improved over the years. Like I said earlier, everything he's done in his career has been very tactical. It's been calculated. It's all been to ensure moments like this that he can progress to the senior ranks and really do some damage over the marathon. He has taken a big liking to the roads, and this is just the start for him. It really is. But one other thing about the event which I must mention as we go through this tunnel of noise each lap is, of course, we had the officials employed. Officials usually volunteer, but no, Sports Shoes and Podium do it differently. They paid officials expenses. They paid officials £100 to come here for Emile Cairess. Previously, they've lost out on official world records getting ratified due to the lack of, I guess, level 4 officials, which is what they need for a kind of world best or a European best and British record to get ratified. So, and they said to the officials, look, if you come up, we'll pay your expenses and we'll also pay you £100 for your time. And that's how it should be done in this sport. Far too much is done for free. And they are really setting kind of almost new guidance on how to run events, how to host them, and how to look after athletes, officials, staff as well out there. So we had to mention that. And you know, when we say looking after athletes, put up in a 5-star hotel last night and just 10 minutes or so away from this venue. A lovely meal as well, and of course the prize money that they could get, £5,000 if Emile breaks this record, £1,500 for the win, which you would say he's got pretty much wrapped up as Butchart just gets ever so slightly further and further away from Emile Cairess, who is all on his own now. He's going to have to really knuckle down the next few laps, but perhaps he might find himself in this position in the London Marathon. You know, at the 20-mile mark, he might be all on his own and just has to stick at his task and trust his training, trust his fitness. There's Emile Cairess. He's come past his agent again. Things just settling down. It's just very, very smooth from Emile Cairess at the moment. Like I said, he comes into this event not doing anything through 2023. He did get COVID off the back of the Europeans, of course. The European cross country down back in December over in Italy. So he had COVID off the back of that. He's recovered well, and then all eyes were on kind of just preparing, listening to his coach Canova. It's something he does very, very well, apparently, according to his agent, and obviously according to him as well. When I spoke to him, he does listen to everything Canova says. He started out, the man went to Bradford Grammar, and in fact, the guy who previously held this 10-mile world record was Richard, world record, I do apologise, European record, I'm getting excited. European record and British record was Richard Nerurkar, 46.02. That's the time Emile Cairess wants to beat. He also went to Bradford Grammar. And funny story, Emile broke his 1500 metres school record probably 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago now, given Emile is 25 years old. But he's breaking Nerurkar's records through school. Can he do it now at the big time, at the professional scene where it counts? Looking very good. Perhaps the first sign of just a little fatigue in him as we come up to lap 7. I'm trying to keep count out here. I'm getting a bit engrossed in the commentary, the crowd as well, and the atmosphere up here. But yeah, he's going to have to rely on some very, very good support over the next few laps. Hugo Milner, funnily enough, just opposite. So he's about 500 metres behind Emile Cairess. It looks like he might finish. He might have had one eye on that prize money, that £500 prize pot. Milner, very, very strong runner, turn triathlete. There we are then. That's lap 7 for this man. He's going to enjoy this. A little bit colder than in Kenya, but perhaps just what you need for distance running. You don't want to overheat out there. I have been told he's been stacking 130-mile weeks on top of each other when he was out there. 20k in the morning, 10k in the evening seems to be his routine, and that, to be honest, is what it takes to reach this very, very high level. It really does. But I must say, the relaxation in this young man, even at the sort of briefing, press briefing and event briefing earlier today, he kind of strolled in a little bit late, you know, just very, very relaxed. A little nod to everyone, no waste of the energy at all. Just very, very dialed in, not much laughter. And here he goes, just a slight downhill. So each lap there is a slight uphill as they just come through where the start area was, and a slight downhill now for Emile Cairess. Butchart there, he's still out there being paced by Ben McMillan. He's gonna welcome that, is Butchart. So he's still out there. That must be a little bit of motivation to see when Emile sort of comes around each top bend and sort of looks across and he sees the likes of Andy Butchart, Hugo Milner and Kalar Omar, those guys out there, and he sort of thinks, oh, I'm just getting further away from them each time. I must be running well. I'm beating some high quality competition. So here he is then. We're kind of come up to the halfway mark very, very soon. We've got 25 minutes on the clock, so we're actually over halfway. Of course we are. I must have just miscounted a lap or two, so do forgive me. I believe he's got 6 or so laps to go then. So, like I said, I'll run you through the previous best times. The top 5 British times. We've got Richard Nerurkar at 46.02. That's the time he wants to beat back in 1993. And Gary Staines is on that list, 46.11. Carl Thackeray, 46.26. Interestingly, Callie Thackeray won the mile earlier. That's his daughter. A very, very impressive run. And Mo Farah's on there, of course. 46.25 back in 2009, right before the kind of pinnacle of his career. Mo Farah ran 46.25. So can Emile do something just quite similar to that? You know, this is maybe just before breaking new ground. This could catapult Emile's career onto great success, just like it did for Farah. And he get amongst it. Here he goes. The support almost getting louder and louder each lap as we go. They know that he's getting closer and closer to the finish. He's going to need more support. The fatigue will be setting in. 2:56, 2:57 for the lap. So Luke is just reading out those specific lap splits for him. That's what he's going to need. 2:56 is bang on pace, my ad. I think they went out a little quicker than pace, so he probably had a little cushion, but you know, he's on for a very, very quick time. He's going to be running anywhere between 2:49 and 2:50 Ks at the moment is Emile Cairess, which of course the 10K marker, we're looking for 28:20, but we'll find out whereabouts that is. I believe that's coming up in just a lap or so's time. The 8K 22:50 he would have already been through. So 28:20 for the 10K be coming up very, very shortly. So like I said, Graham Rush, he was the man responsible for getting Emile to the venue today. Drove him up the short journey from Leeds to Barrowford here and drove him across, shall I say up and across, and got him here just on time. Just soak it up. Very, very relaxed at the moment, even still. And this is what the best do. They stay relaxed even when under stress. You don't even see so much as a grimace on their face. Every muscle in their body is just working towards moving forward, keeping that stride length the same, keeping that speed and force going through the ground. And this is elite distance running, ladies and gentlemen. What can this man do over the next few years? What can he do over the next few laps? Can he hold this terrific pace he set off at? Was it ambitious, or will he just break the record, obliterate the record, may I add? There we are, 28:05. So let's look out for that 10K split. It's a little flag, a little post if you like, on my right or left hand side. So just look out for that on your screen. He needs to come through in around about 28:20. He's just approaching that marker right now. And that would see him on sort of 45:30 territory. That's the 10K marker. So through in just outside 28:20. So perhaps a little slower than what he was hoping for at this moment of time, but just a little sort of breather mid-race. I must say the pace has left him. The last remaining pacer dropped out at 6K. So he's had to do, well, by the end of this race, he would have had to do 10K on his own. He's already done 4K solo. And this is terrific. He's starting to perhaps just grow in confidence a little bit now as he just sort of eking around these bends. The mindset a young man like Emile Cairess must have to do this event, to do this solo pretty much. He had help. We know he did. A massive back of them. And I think Barnsley, the race organiser, would have perhaps liked them to go a little bit further. There was the incentive, £100 a K, past 5K. But of course, only two of them, Charlie Wheeler and Jamie Crowe, would be rewarded that. So they're still going to take home some pretty good cash for doing this event. But here we are. Luke Allen's going to call out another lap split.
55, 56.
He is so dialed in. It's very, very even. 2:57. Like I said, Kipchoge, when he broke that record, that break in two, he had paces coming in and out. That's what made it only a world best, I suppose, not a world record. So it was unofficial. But of course, they had a little bit more of a historic marker, I guess, with that sub 2 hour marathon. So the paces, unfortunately, they can't hop in and out at this event. Otherwise, it wouldn't count as a record. £5,000 is on the line for that record as well. 46:02. I've repeated it a few times. Richard Nerurkar back in 1993 at the Cabbage Patch 10-mile event over in Twickenham, if you know that one. I'm not even sure the roads get closed for that. So, but Emile, that's what he's looking to do. Coached by Renato Canova. Sort of joined him a year or so ago. Like I said, after he broke Nerurkar's Bradford Grammar 1500 metre school record, he just went on to bigger and better things as you'd expect. I'm not sure what that record was actually. I should have found out, so I do apologise. But you know, he's won a Bucks 5,000 metre title. He's got a silver over the National Cross, a silver at the European Cross, and each year this man just seems to be getting better and better and better. 2022 really was his year. He set a whole host of personal bests from 3K to 10,000. It really was. He just attacked everything in his path, did Emile Cairess. I mean, 7:44 for the 3K, 13:26 for the 5, 27:34 for the 10. He's hit a half marathon best of 60:32, and he's just going to lap Kedar Omar now, who's on for a pretty good time himself. Keep it going, Kedar. And Emile just sort of cruising on by him. And, you know, Omar's a 62-minute half marathon man. He is no slouch, and Emile Cairess just making absolutely light work of him at the moment. Dropped him early, of course, and now he just keeps pushing forward. He's going to be on the 11K mark, so we've got around about 5K to go, Emile. This is terrific running. He's kept so on his pace, and now perhaps he's going to look ahead, and Hugo Milner won't be far up the road, and might even see just getting further and further ahead of Bouchard each time as well. I'll try and pan across when he sort of comes around. Bouchard. And I'm just getting some reports that Andy Bouchard actually dropped out of this one, and I think it's probably not even down to your fitness, but when you're out here and you're alone and it's all you, inside your own head, doing lap on lap on lap of this circuit, it is so mentally tough. And it's no surprise that even some of the best athletes in the world, like Bouchard, struggle to wrap their head around this circuit, if you like. It almost torments you. Each lap, you almost become delirious. How much further do you have to go? And it just really is kind of a mind over matter. But Emile, he's built for it. He's made for this. He's preparing, and he knows there's actually harder tests to come with the likes of the marathon as well. And there we are, 58, so just another second or so drop there per lap, but I think he is still on course. He's still up on what he should be running. There we are, Graham Rush really geeing him on round this top bend where it's quiet. He can just focus on the car in front and keep going, keep his rhythm. And just listen to the noise. The sound of his feet, the breathing, the light breathing. The cold evening of Barrowford. And he knew this might happen. He started just before kind of sunset. Sunset was around about 5:45. He started just before, and it's a very grey day here, but at least it's not windy. It's a little chilly, but almost perfect conditions for distance running. And when I say distance running, I mean the 10 mile, the half marathon. This is what you really want to run at. There's Alan, his agent, just really encouraging him now. He's got to stick at his task. He's got less than 5K to go. He's going to have 4K to go. He would have done repetitions of that in Kenya, I suspect. The reports on his training went very, very well. Some massive sessions out there, which is 18, 19 mile long runs. Really grinding it out, gritting his teeth. Boy, does he look fluent. Does he look fit? Or what? Emile Cairess with 4 laps to go. Come on, Emile. The crowd just getting behind him. Like I said, they're going to need to get louder and louder out there. There we are, 34:05 on the clock. It's going to be very tight. You'd like to think he's going to do 4K in 12 minutes, but it's just over. It's 1,034 a lap, so he's going to have to do it around about 11:40 or so to kind of get that record. So he needs to stick on his task, and perhaps this will show how good the likes of Nerurkar was over the 10 miles to run that time. It hasn't been beaten since 1993. It's 30 years old. Can Emile Cairess do it? He's looking ever so smooth around these bends. Like I said, his style, his form still hasn't changed, and this is what the best do. They are trained to perform under huge amounts of stress. Many outside these running circles just assume he's not tired, but I can tell you, running 250Ks, this man will be tired. He will be struggling, but he's just able to put that in the back of his mind and stay relaxed and keep on pace. He trusts his training, and what he's done, he's been so finely tuned and prepared for this moment in time. And he really is getting some good support now. It's a nice, small, tight-knit crowd here today, witnessing history. Like I said earlier in the program, it almost is a carbon copy of that Breaking 2 event in Vienna where we had pacers and we had it centered around Kipchoge. And of course the one before that in Monza where we had the likes of Tedeschi. There we are, 2:58 for that lap. So again, he stayed on pace. He's even picked it up a little bit. Our cameraman Danny doing an absolutely terrific job out there trying to stay with him. Even if it is for 10 or so meters on that 360 camera. So he can smell the end is in sight. The next time around, he's going to have 3K to go, just under. And he's going to enjoy that, less than 2 miles. Like I said, he would have done repetitions of that all through his time over the years. He'll know the split that he needs. And he just is focused on just keeping that pace now. And maybe just saving something a little bit for that last lap, just to lift it a little bit. So as we near the end of this race, I should say a massive shout out to Chris Barnes, who kind of organised this event. He approached Emile and he said, look, what do you want? What distance? Half marathon? Do you want to attack a sub 60 half round here? What can we do? And 10 miles was the distance decided. It's going to suit him best in his London preparation. There we are, less than 10 minutes of running. Luke is absolutely right. He's got to keep it moving. Come on, Emile. Here he is. Get back through this tunnel of noise. And you've only got 3 more of these laps to go. Like I said, the details were discussed over a few months as well. Originally, it was just going to be himself. Butchard added his name to the equation coming off the back of a stint out in Ethiopia. He might have fancied his chances to spoil the party out here, but Emile knew what he signed up for. It was geared towards him. He knew he might be alone up to this point as well, and he's doing a great job just going through the start. 37.06. So again, that lap inside 3 minutes. If you just look at the clock now over the next few laps, over these last 3 laps, keep an eye on the clock, and basically you're looking for 2:58, 2:57 a lap, and he is on that record pace. It was very, very quick through the first sort of 5K or so. Even the 10K mark, I think he was around about probably 28:30. And I must say, when he ran 60:32, his half marathon personal best, he went through, I think, about 46:12 or something like that through that 10-mile split. He was near enough running 4:37 a mile, and I think this record he's going to need to run about 4:36, 4:35 a mile, so just an inch or so quicker. But he's looking very good. He's almost starting to just grow in confidence at the moment. As like I say, that sun's setting, we're relying on the floodlights, and look at those images. People are taking photos, they know what they're watching, they know they might be witnessing history. Everyone is getting behind him, they all know his name. Here he is, Leeds City AC, Emile Cairess, 25 years of age, looking to run sub 46 minutes. I had a little look at those all-time lists earlier. There we are, keep on it, Emile. Another lap, tick down. So we just settle, if you like. You can almost hear the breathing, the footfall, the stride, the cadence. This man is supreme. He's so smooth. He's one of the smoothest to do it. When you look at the kind of British runners at the moment, he is very much tipping himself to the fore to be the best distance runner in the country right now. I know we've got the likes of Mark Scott and Butchard also here, who unfortunately dropped out, but those guys, are they kind of going to have to play second fiddle to this young man over the next few years? We've seen obviously Jake Smith sidelined at the moment as well, and look, distance running's a funny old sport. Things happen very fast, it moves on very quickly as well. A year is a long time in distance running circles. People could be in the shape of their life, the form of their life, and look unbeatable, and 6 months to a year later can obviously falter and be beaten. So but right now this man is hot and he's got to capitalise. He really does. Here he comes in up the home straight again, Emile Cairess. He's going to have the 2 lap sign, so this will be the penultimate lap, and then he's going to go to work on that final lap. Here he comes. The noise just echoing down this straight, this long 400 metres so straight. This course made up of 2 straights, 400 metres each side almost, and those like long 100 metre or so bends, if you like. There we are, so 40.05, so I believe it was around about 37.05 the last time he came round, so it's another sort of 3 or so minute lap, so he's just losing perhaps 2 seconds or so a lap at the moment, but he's got 2 laps to go. What can he do? He's going to have to do these next 2 laps in what, 9 minutes? If he's going to get 46.0. I'm not sure my math is quite right. I'm not sure. I think he's got three laps to go as well. So I will double check that. 2 laps. I'm just not sure the clock at the start's correct. And if he's on 37 minutes at the moment with 2 laps to go, because he's going to be well inside 9 minutes to just do 2K. It's going to be 40 on clock at the moment. So the one on the finish that we were going by is maybe just sort of 3 minutes or so down. So 41, it looks like they've just adjusted it. There we are, and reports coming from the course. He has to just pick it up a little bit. Going into these next few laps, he is going to need to run sub 6 minutes over the next couple laps, which would be, you know, he's going to have to get back down on those 250Ks he started on. He looks very good. He's now going to go to work. The Pacers, they're wrapped up now. Like I said, it's a chilly, cool evening here up in Barrowford. 4 miles or so outside of Burnley. Not far for Emile to travel at all. Yes, I believe, doing my research, is one of the first times he's had on this track. He would have come and scouted it out. He would have trained on something similar in Leeds. I know he has. There's a cycle trap up in Leeds he would have trained on. Put a lot of mileage into, a lot of reps. I've seen a few workout videos from him as well up there. And so he is used to this kind of lap circuit. And you know what? The best can do it. The best, they're used to doing. This man's used to doing 25 laps around the track. He knows what he's doing when it comes to laps. That's not going to phase him. They just lock in on their rhythm. Interestingly, Emile doesn't look to be wearing a watch out there, just a few bracelets on his wrist. He hasn't really looked at his time. He's just dialed in on the rhythm he is running. And what can he do then, Emile? He's coming up to a lap to go. He's really got to go. Luke just telling him to find something. Can he break this record? 46.02. We'll keep an eye on the clock. I do apologise for my a bad math or just lack of memory. When we passed the clock last time, it said 40. I was getting mixed up with the lap before, but here he comes in. Coming up to the final lap, he's done 14 or so laps. He had Pacers for about 5 of them, then they dropped out. He's been on his own for the best part of 10 laps as Emile Cairess, all on his own rhythm, just chasing the car. I'm in, I've got a cameraman, James, next to me. Here he goes, and he's going to take one look at the clock, and no, he's got just over a K to break that record, 43.04. He's going to have to get inside 3 minutes. On this last lap, he's going to have to near a 250K. He's got to go some now. Emile, just this slight downhill. Like I said, he's going to have deja vu. He's done this 14 times already, 15 times already, I apologise. £1,500 for the win. Well, he's got that wrapped up. Butchard's dropped out. His Canal Omar, he's lapped. I'm not sure where he is on the course, so he had that pretty much wrapped up after the first couple laps. No problems there. Can he get this record and get the £5,000 cash prize to go with it? I say that a little louder as he needs a little bit more motivation. Does he? This man's in it for the love of the sport. He's in it to test his body. Look, Canova coaches him, but before that, he was studying the sport religiously. He had a good coach in Phil Townsend at Leeds AC as well, through his youth ranks, who kind of held him back a little bit. When he went to university, he started self-coaching himself all through university. He was studying, he was getting training plans off LetsRun.com. It's an athletics forum. He was studying the best in the world, the Kenyans, what the Ethiopians do, how much weekly mileage and workouts they do. And from there, he then started working alongside Alan Story. He was more of an advisor for this young man. But then he met his match in Canova. He met his dream coach. He'd studied the man. He wanted to be coach for him for such a long time. And finally, he reached out. He had a 2-3 hour chat with him when he visited Kenya last year. And it all started from there. Since then, he's had an incredible summer last year, PBing over just about every distance you can name. And now he's at the stage where he can attack European records. He can attack British records. And he can really look ahead to his future. He's got 400 metres or so. It's Emile Cairess of Leeds City AC and Adidas. He looks supreme. He's just going to lap Hugo Milner here into the last lap, and I'm sure it's going to give him some encouragement. These men would have competed with each other over the years through the junior ranks. And look at him now, opening up his stride. He's got a slight downhill into the finish. He is going to the arms. Emile Cairess, people. 46.02 is the record to beat. Graham Rush, his longtime friend, the man who was responsible for taking him up to this event. He was a designated driver, if you like. The lead pacer is on the side of the track supporting him. And he's done this pretty much all on his own for the last 10,000 metres or so. Emile Cairess has soloed this effort, and I must say he looks supreme. He definitely looks like he's picked it up a little bit. He's going to get a look on the clock now. Luke Allen, his agent, is just willing him on. Here come the crowd, then, ladies and gentlemen, you've got to soak it up. Are we witnessing history here at Barrowford? This track's seen some incredible times. 45.52 on the clock. He's going to do it. It's Emile Cairess, ladies and gentlemen. Phenomenal running. And he's done it virtually on his own. He had help early on. Look at the man. Goodness me. Emile Cairess. He's an athletic specimen. He's trained so hard for that. Hugo Milner coming through. All eyes on this man, though. He's done what he came here for. He had one goal in mind, and that was to break that record. Discussions long ago with this in mind, and he really has done something impressive out here today. Hats off to him. Friends, family, pacers, all congratulating him. The man of the hour. Agent there as well, delighted. I'm sure there were a bit of nerves through that middle section of the race, but he pulled it back. A terrific last lap. Everyone knows what they've witnessed. They're highly educated fans here at this event. They know what it takes to really pull out a performance like that. Well done, Emile Cairess. Chris Barnes, the event organiser, was responsible for driving the car. So Emile, mate, I'm here with you. Terrific run. You've just broken the record. How'd it go? I mean, a lot of it was solo.
Yeah, it was tough on my own, but the pacers helped me a lot the first 6K, and then I just tried to stick to it and just keep it going and not let. I knew if I was in touch, I could have a decent last lap, and I just managed to stay just on it, just give myself a little bit so I could push and just make it then.
I was going to say, mate, through those middle laps, were you worried at all at any point that it might be slipping away? I think Luke was shouting out your splits, they were just getting a little slower each lap.
Yeah, but I managed to keep it just acceptable.
Yeah.
I think a couple of seconds slower, I would have been, it would have cost me the record, but I just managed to keep it on a good level, so yeah, it was alright, it was good.
So, and what about a word, on the event here and the support out here today, did that help get you through it?
Yeah, it was fantastic, coming through here and down there, it was so good, it definitely kept me going. And it was a great event that Chris has put on, so thanks to Adidas and SportsShoes for, sorting it out for me.
Yeah, a brilliant run, and obviously London Marathon next, is there anything in between, or is it back to training?
Just back to training, just get the miles in and just try and get a decent run there.
That's it. Will you be back to Kenya or just staying in the UK now?
Just in Leeds.
But
getting the training on the canal and that, so yeah.
Nice, man. I take it training went very well in Kenya this time around as well.
Yeah, it went good. No illness, so that was the main thing.
Brilliant, mate. Well done. Look forward to seeing you in London.
Cheers, thank you.